up, guys? We are back for episode 2 of the Juice Crew podcast.
We're here.
We are here again, live, back in studio, if you want to call it. I don't know if you want to consider it a studio.
Home studio.
Home studio.
The headquarters. We missed you guys.
We did miss you guys. But here is episode 2 for you guys. Like we said last week, we're going to start every episode with a cheers, fellas. So let's grab our cups and enjoy. Cheers to episode 2, fellas. Cheers to episode 2.
Cheers to episode 2.
Cheers, everybody.
Cheers out there. I think it tastes better with every episode that we do.
100%,
I think it tastes better. And I know we got a different juice in here. They still don't know what this is.
By the way, I know this is only episode 2, but we're still looking for a sponsor, so just throwing that out there.
All right. With all that said, I think let's give a run of the agenda. What we're going to talk about today. I think we have some more fascinating topics. We're going to dive into a little bit more detail than the first episode. We're going to talk a little bit about some real life, what's happening. We are actually just in the men's basketball league. Talk a little bit about that. You guys have been waiting for these sports debates. And Landon, D-Lo, I have a very, very hot take for you guys.
No, God! No, God, please, no!
We're talking some NFL season starting in a couple weeks, and I got something for you guys. And then after that, get a little spicy. We're going to finish off with just telling you guys a little bit more about, what's our why, how the podcast started up, some more business ventures that we're going to be getting into down the road. Let's hop into this men's league conversation.
Yeah.
We just played in the semifinals. Unfortunate result, We didn't get a chance to win and make it to the championship. I want to turn it over to Lyndon. I know you and D-Lo have been playing in a few men's leagues now together. Yeah. I tore my meniscus for the crowd out there. Took like a year and a half off. Didn't think I was going to come back. But I really want to defer to these guys and get a little bit more of their perspective. So, what would you say, has been your experience in playing in some of these men's leagues?
Well, just to start you off, we play in these men's league every year. Me and D-Lo, we hop on different teams with our friends. And we just play for recreation. We want to have fun, exercising to stay in shape. We don't want to get out of shape, and still see if we still have a little something in the tank to see if we still have it. So we play in these leagues, and it's a lot of fun playing. Very competitive, a lot of high-level talent guys. And this season we fell short. We played against the Brooklyn Nets. New Jersey. We actually didn't play against the Brooklyn Nets, but they were as nice as I would say. I would say they were a very talented, deep team, and we got outnumbered. It was tough, but I'll let D-Lo tell his side of the story. But
yeah, so men's leagues for me, it basically started back going into my junior year high school, where I started participating in these men's leagues. And honestly, I started playing in them just to get better.
That's a good fact.
Burton Catholic, as we talked about last week, it was a gauntlet. Nothing was promised. I didn't play varsity my freshman or sophomore year. So coming to my junior year, I knew I was going to be on the varsity team, but I knew I would have to earn every single minute. And I had to grind that summer. So a big part of me playing in the summer league was to toughen myself up. In the men's league was toughen myself up. Playing against grown men at that time. I'm still a kid in high school. And the funny thing is, we actually had a team full of high schoolers. Some of them, and let me tell you, that team was low-key, looking back on that team was low-key stacked. We were sending out there 5 college players as going into our junior and sophomore years, respectively, from who was on the team. But, we played in Cancaluco's men's league team, man. That was a lot of fun. That's where, my journey kind of began. And then now, like Landon said, I just play recreationally just to keep myself active, just because it's something I love to do. I love to hoop, man. And nothing, obviously playing in the park is fun and all, but nothing beats, having that in-game feel with the real ref there. It feels like you're on a professional stage at some level. We never got to play professionally ourselves, but it keeps that drive alive. It keeps that, that showmanship, that part that we love about the game so much incorporated within the game. But
these guys had me calling, one thing we used to do back in the Juice Crew days, every Rutgers game, we'd be like, it's love day. And like honestly, getting back into these men's league, I'm getting into the Sundays. I'm like, yo, fellas, it's love day. Like, so I definitely hear all that for sure. And the one thing I will take away is that the way we approached it, we were really out there scouting. Like we want to see the team we have to play next week. And that's the one thing that we learned though. We were the one team that you could scout because every week you know who's coming, you know who's gonna be there, who's gonna be present, and we tried to scout our best. Didn't get it done, but I think another portion, and I think I really want to attack this side of it and thinking a little bit more about the business side of like a men's basketball league. That's one thing that I think we do well is we like to think about whatever we get involved in, whether it be like talking to different people who run businesses, entrepreneurs, whatever their hustle is. We like to kind of put an idea around it ourselves. And so I think today we want to kind of get into like what we were thinking about playing in the men's league, you know, talking to the person who runs the men's league and kind of what he has to worry about from like a revenue expense kind of deal. And one of the first things I kind of think about is like the recruitment. How do I get teams to come play in this men's league? And I think that's kind of where we get started there. Like, what do you guys think about like, how do you think that, you know, people who run these different men's basketball leagues, whether it be 5-on-5, 3-on-3, how are they kind of recruiting these teams like to come play in their league?
I think social media presence has a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
I think the way you market the league is definitely important. From giving players what they want to see, showing, you know, weekly statistics, giving weekly player the games, having a trophy at the end of the season, maybe even having MVPs. Everyone wants to feel rewarded at the end of something. You don't want to just feel like you just went through a league and nobody saw it, nobody played it. Because again, going back to my point before, the reason we play in these men's leagues is not only to keep the love of the game, but you still get that showmanship, you know what I'm saying? You still feel like you're playing on somewhat of a stage almost, you know what I'm saying? So I feel like that, you know, some of these men's leagues really do encompass a stage-like performance, you know, showing off statistics, showing off different highlights. I think, honestly, social media presence has a huge impact on the way a lot of these men's leagues thrive. Like, what do you think, Landon?
And just to build on David's point with the social media, you get one big name. Yeah. You know, you see Trae Young in Oklahoma, and that league giving out the business to whoever wants it. You know, that gets the names out, that gets the people out. You get these cameras like Ball is Life to record and just show recognition to the league, and also like D'Lo said, there's the incentives and rewards too. You know, giving out a trophy or monetary prizes just to give people a reason to play for your league and not somebody else's. What do you think?
Yeah, I think about it a little bit more of like kind of from a financial side. I think you guys hit it right on the head in terms of the recruiting, the marketing, how do you get people here? When I start thinking about like kind of from a financial perspective, you got to worry about, you know, how do you know what's the appropriate fee to charge that's, you know, in people's budget? Then you have to worry about paying the referees. Like I used to be a referee, and hopefully we'll get into some funny stories about me being a referee. I think I have a lot of fun doing it. It's almost like getting a front row seat to a game. But you got to worry about paying the referees, which is not always you get all the money up front, but you're probably paying the refs on a week-to-week basis. So it's something to think about. And I know Landon has talked about, you know, you got to think about renting the gym. That's usually a cost. And so I think there's a lot of like these nuances and intricacies to kind of running these men's league. But I think that what's the important factor in all of this is that as ex-athletes, whether it's basketball, which we play in, soccer league, flag football, there's still some type of passion there in the ex-athlete that wants to play in a men's league. And just like you guys thinking about that ex-athlete perspective, you touched on it yourselves, but what do you think it means to other people? Like, you know, to really get in these leagues, try to win a trophy, win a championship, even though it's not necessarily the highest level you ever played.
I mean, it might not be the highest level you ever played, but for some people, it is the highest level they ever played. Like for some people, this is it. This is the highlight of their
these are park heroes.
Like these are park heroes.
Yeah.
Like, not everybody gets that opportunity to play on that stage. Not everybody can be as lucky as we are to. You know, I went to these big time high schools, got recruited to play in college, things of that nature. So for some people, this is a big time stage for them. Like they take this very seriously. Now for me, I take it very seriously because this is the only basketball I'm doing. This is my stage. Like you said, this is when it becomes your stage, when it becomes this is my time to shine, when it becomes this is our team, we're trying to, you know, compete and accomplish a goal together. Now all of a sudden we're all locked in on one one common goal, and we're all striving to get toward that one common goal at the end of the day.
Well, you made amazing points, but just to add on, just the idea of just having something to look forward to. You never know, what a situation or what a game could mean to somebody. They could have a very stressful week at work or just tough tasks at home or just, feeling down or something. And they're like, oh, man, I have a game on Sunday. I can't wait to go and just play and just get all that frustration out. So that stress reliever that goes with the sport, it helps.
Definitely. So stay tuned. I know that's not the last men's league. I was super happy to just get back into it. I got to give a lot of credit to these guys. I didn't think I was coming back on the court. They got me back on the court.
Ty came back like a champ.
We started at a 6-0. We're coming back.
We started off 6-0, bruh. We came to the last game of the season. We took a loss to that team that we played in the last game. I'm not going to mention who it was. And then we ended up playing that same team in the playoffs. And we ended up taking the L to them again in the playoffs. So we only lost to one team throughout our whole run, which I can't say it's a complete, failure. In my whole life playing in this particular men's league, I've got knocked out of the first round semifinals every single time. A bit of annoying on my end, but I do feel like I'm gonna push through and get over the hump finally very soon. Let's get into some of these NFL topics, these NFL predictions we got for you guys. So I guess I want to kick it off with Super Bowl. Everybody wants to know who's going to go to the Super Bowl, and I think we all know, who the favorites are. Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs are obviously. I mean, my favorite is honestly a rematch with the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buccaneers. Realistically, that's my realistic Super Bowl pick for this year. But what about those dark horses? What about those teams that aren't expected to make it a Super Bowl? Because I feel like, especially in football, a lot of times the team you expect to be there at the end isn't there at the end.
Exactly.
So who are some of those dark horse sleeper teams that you guys have winning the Super Bowl this year?
Listen, guys, you got to hear me out here. And look, I will caveat this. I am a fan of this team. I've been a fan of this team since I grew up. They're local, but
Please,
guys, don't hang me on my head. But the New York Football Giants. The New York Football Giants, and I'm gonna tell you why. Hey, we've been in this situation before. Daniel Jones could be the next Eli Manning. He does not have to go 10-6, 11-5. I'm actually spitting off 17-game season. I forgot we had an 18-game season this year.
We just gotta get right. 17-game season, 16-17 this year.
Yep. So we don't have to necessarily be that team. We just gotta get there. We got to get there, and then we could give the ball to my man Saquon Barkley. We could rush the passer with Leonard Williams. We could let Logan Ryan do what he has to do with my man Pep, James Bradbury in that back, and in that on that secondary, we can make a run. I really believe in this New York football team this year, and I don't think you guys should sleep on us. I really don't.
Listen. I don't think the Giants are terrible. You guys. Let's be honest. I think the defense got a little lucky last year. That secondary is solid, but they weren't expected to do that last year. And two, I don't have that much faith in Danny Dimes.
Trying to stay upright and he trips. No, God! No, God, please, no!
Quote unquote Danny Dimes. I call him Danny Turnovers.
No.
That man's all he does is turn the ball.
Danny Dimes.
Bro, please tell me who gave this man the nickname Danny Dimes for someone who turns the ball over so much, bro.
What did he do to deserve that name?
Hold on. One thing is you don't get the nickname out of nowhere. He's inconsistent, yes. I understand. But when he got off the hook last year, which I don't like, I will say that. When Saquon Barkley gone down, he got off the hook because we were really supposed to find out what he was going to give us last year. It's put up or shut up time. I actually remember the day we drafted this motherfucker, bro. I remember the day I was actually out. I was out at a bar, and I was just watching the draft. And of course, I'm like, the Giants, 6th pick. Let's go to the offensive line if we're not going to get, quarterback. We fucking draft Daniel Jones from Duke University. Never heard the name in my life. I'm going berserk.
People thought Dave Gettleman was out of his mind.
Never thought it was going to happen. But I think he can do it. He has Saquon Barkley back. The offensive line hopefully tightens up a little bit for him. Protect the football. Move around. Do what does best for Danny Dimes. New York Football Giants, Super Bowl champions 2022. Mark my words. I said it here. Juice Crew Podcast first. Let's get into some of you guys' predictions. Landon.
So, to follow your lead, I might be a little biased here. Just a little bit. Just a teeny, tiny bit biased here.
I have a feeling I know where he's going.
I have to go with the Colts. I have to go with the Indianapolis Colts because we have a solid team. This is one of the few times where I'm actually excited for basketball and football. We're gonna talk about the basketball later. Don't even worry about that. I got you guys.
You guys don't want to hear the basketball.
Don't even worry. I got you guys. I got you guys. But we're gonna talk about the Colts right now. The Colts, even though we have Carson Edwards, he's hurt right now. Scares the crap out of me, to be honest with you. We got Jacob Eason right now as QB1. Personally, I hate doing this, but personally, I think if you throw me a QB1, I'm leading the squad. Even though that's probably false.
Oh, you're a receiver, bro. You can't be out there throwing up. You got to go catch the ball.
We can do that, but for the time being, we do have Jonathan Taylor. Watch out for him. Watch out and get him on your fantasy teams. If you have the FanDuel, because I know we in Jersey, you see his yards, bet the over. If it doesn't hit, you can blame it on me. You can blame it on me, but it will come through for you. We got T.Y. as a vet. We got Michael Pittman Jr., a solid defense. I like what our secondary was doing after we got Xavier Rhodes. He's a nice vet. I kind of wanted to get Pat Pete too. He's
Pat Pete is
a
Pat
great
Pete.
Great bet, yeah. Pat P is definitely Pat P. But we have Darius Leonard pissed off too because they gave him an outside top 5 rating this year in Madden. You know how them NFL players get up their Madden rating. So he's pissed off. So I'm looking for him to be a force on defense, and DeForest Buckner holding it down. I'm excited. You're gonna see me during the year with my Peyton Manning jersey on, betting the Colts money line, Colts spread. Just do it with me, and I promise you we'll make some money together. Dealer, what you thinking?
Look, I don't hate the pick, but as an Eagles fan, as someone who just let this man Carson Wentz go, you are warned here. I'm giving you a warning right now.
We can't time travel in 2017, Dealer?
That's only 1 year. 1 year he's had busting, and that was the year we won the Super Bowl.
He got a ring.
He got a ring. But he sure as hell didn't take us there. Yeah. Y'all should have traded for Nick Foles, low-key.
I want him.
Chicago
has too many quarterbacks. They gotta let us see one. They
gotta
let us get one.
But Nick Foles is not the answer. You think about bringing Nick Foles into that locker room,
but
that's gonna stir up a lot of controversy.
I don't care. I need the ring. I don't care about Carson's feelings. I don't care if he gets hurt, if Nick takes his spot again. If that results in a ring,
that's fair.
I hear where you're coming from. I guess my biggest 3 questions for the Colts is 1, quarterback play, Carson Wentz. I'm not sure if he can really take you to the promised land. 2, I'm not sure about the weapons around Jonathan Taylor are good enough, really. I think T.Y. Hilton is kind of on the downfall of his career. I like Michael Pittman Jr., but is he a true number 1?
I think he has a breakout year, honestly. I think, Michael Pittman, showed some flashes last year. And one thing that I feel about rookies in the NFL is they're not always going to be the Justin Jefferson that we saw last year. They sometimes need that second, third year. I may have to take some Michael Pittman yards this year on my bets. I may have to take some Michael Pittman, but I do see your point. I think that on paper, though, the Colts is not a bad pick at all. The defense is strong. I think a lot of the questions always, in the NFL, comes down to quarterback play. So I think I have to 100% agree with you on that one. But D-Lo, what are we thinking here? What are we thinking? I know you love my Giants pick as an Eagles fan.
But it sounds like I might have to be the only unbiased one at the table today because I know, or maybe it's just because I know my Eagles are in the dumps right now.
All right, but if the Eagles are having a season, I don't want to hear you come on this podcast.
Hey, if they're winning games, you're gonna hear it.
Devontae Smith is
I
catching.
hope Devontae Smith goes for 2,000 yards this year, matter of fact. But I would have to say, if I had to pick one team as a sleeper Super Bowl prediction, I would have to stay in the NFC East, and I'm gonna have to go with the team that took the division last year, the Washington Football Team. Now, let's bring it back to last year. During the playoffs, they made a 7-9 record, whatever, but we're still in the NFC least. It's not the toughest division in the world to win at the end of the day. And last year, they took the reigning Super Bowl champs, down to the wire with Taylor Heineke.
Yeah.
Now, I know Ryan Fitzpatrick ain't a world beater, but you cannot tell me that Ryan Fitzpatrick is not better than Taylor Heineke. Chase Young, I think, will be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. He won Rookie of Defensive Player of the Year last year. I think this year he'll be in the running for Defensive Player of the Year. Not to mention we got Terry McLaurin on the outside, who I think is a stud receiver.
Yep.
They picked up his boy, Curtis Samuel, now down the field. Curtis Samuel is a great Swiss Army knife weapon. They can use him in running situations. They can use him down the field. I love that pickup from them. They got Landon Collins down at the safety.
I miss Landon.
They picked up William Jackson at the corner position. Their pass rush is just they're going to get to it's dangerous, bro. It's dangerous. They're going to get to the quarterback. I think they're going to have a top 5 defense in the league this year. It really comes down to your real question watching the football team comes down to can the quarterback take him there? But I think Ryan Fitzpatrick is now in the point of his career where he doesn't have to be Superman to bring them to the Super Bowl, almost like that Peyton Manning run, when they let the defense carry them.
Yep.
You just don't kill them. Don't make stupid mistakes. Don't turn the ball over, and you can get to the promised land. Because I think this is a very winnable division, and it only takes a couple games to make it to the Super Bowl, man. Well, it takes about 2-3 wins.
The one thing I will say is that when you think about some of these NFC East teams that, make it to the Super Bowl or get there, like, granted, the Eagles had a fairly, solid offense playing when they won the Super Bowl. It's a lot of, like, can you run the football? Can you play defense? Mm-hmm. I like Antonio Gibson a lot. He showed me a lot last year in his rookie year. J.D. McKissick catching the ball out the backfield makes Ryan Fitzpatrick's job a lot easier. He could just dip and
Thomas at the tight end position too. They got weapons.
So they definitely have some pieces, but I don't know. I just, I have a strong feeling that we could get it done. But I do, if I weren't going to take the Giants winning the division, I would default to the Washington football team because I think the one thing that me and D-Lo on this show always agree on is
what if the Cowboys win?
There's no way all the Cowgirls are ever going to be.
I will never pick the Cowboys to win anything.
And if you were a betting man, you would make a lot of money, I think.
I can't. Don't even get me started on the Cowboys. The nauseating, like Stephen A. Smith likes to say, the nauseating.
How about them Cowboys?
Like what he talks about, what he really says in his show is really true. Like every Cowboy fan I know is just hearing them talk about Dallas just makes me want to throw up. It just makes me want to puke. Oh my God, it's sickening.
I can't believe I spent time at their stadium on the trip. And I was in Mr. Jerry Jones' box. I almost wanted to
take a shower. Man.
The next NFL prediction we're going to make is who's going to be the best rookie NFL quarterback. And I'll kick us off. And I'm going to stay in New York. I'm going to stay local. I'm going to stay in the New York market. Mr. Zach Wilson. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't watch him in college at all. Didn't watch any BYU games. Didn't hear about him a whole lot until it came time for draft time. But one thing I have seen in a few small sample size in these preseason games, he can throw the football, can move around a little bit. He's going to need a lot to work in his favor. But one thing I like most is that the ball will be in his hands all year, and there's not going to be a question about that. As where there's questions for a lot of these other rookie quarterbacks. Give me some Zach Wilson, New York Jets, staying with New York.
My rookie quarterback, well, before I say my quarterback, the only thing that scares me about Zach is just his division. That's a lot. You got Bill in there.
That's true.
He's not, I'm pretty sure he's not the friendliest on rookie quarterbacks with defensive schemes and what he's drawing up. You got what they do down in Miami, too. They got a big X over there. I think he had 10 picks last year. You might want to see Zach and try to,
yeah, he's very
buff
nice
some
player.
stats a little bit, but I'm going Trey Lance. Now, you might call me crazy because I will say he does have one of the most, if not the most difficult paths to getting the keys to that car because he has Garoppolo in front of him, even though I wouldn't be mad if Garoppolo comes to Indy too, But that's another story for another day. But if Trey Lance can get that starting job, he can take over him. And San Fran, the way he plays, he's explosive, NFL ready, size, he can throw, run. I think there's a lot to be excited about if you're a San Fran fan.
I hear what you're saying for Trey Lance. I'm a big Trey Lance believer. I think he can take him to the Super Bowl this year if they run him out there, to be honest with you. My only debate with Trey Lance is I don't think he'll put up the same type of stats like this guy will. And my debate for Zach Wilson is I'm not in love with their offensive line. I do like the upgrade they made at the weapon position for him. You know, they got him some wide receivers finally. They're not eye-popping, big-time wide receivers, but the weapons are definitely better than what Sam Darnold had.
Elijah Moore.
Yeah, Elijah Moore is going to be the truth for sure. I 100% believe that. But I just don't know if they have the offensive line to keep him standing upright, almost like a Bengals situation from last year. But
something to think about for sure.
For sure, but I want to say my sleeper pick, I'm leaning toward the guy I've been riding home, who I thought should have been the first quarterback off the board since the beginning of last year when he was debated as a top 2 quarterback, Justin Fields. I mean, dude, how does this guy go from a top 2 rated quarterback coming out of Ohio State, 1-2? He's 1-2 the whole time with Trevor Lawrence, and then all of a sudden the season ends. He beats Trevor Lawrence in a head-to-head matchup. And this guy's stock falls. He plays with a back injury in the national championship game. Balls his heart out. And this guy is falling down draft boards. That never made any sense to me. I was screaming to take Fields honestly over Lawrence back then, and I'm still a Justin Fields fan. I love the situation they got for him in Chicago. Matt Nagy isn't my favorite head coach, but I do love the team around him. He's got some weapons. Allen Robinson is no scrub whatsoever. Yeah. That is a great number 1 to have. He's got David Montgomery back there in the backfield. Tariq Cohen as a safety option for a pass back. I like Justin Fields as the best kid. And he's got I feel like besides obviously Zach Wilson, he's going to start off day 1. I feel like he's got the second, at least, from our 3 perspective, easiest role to start. Andy Dalton ain't no world beater, so that's for sure.
Yeah. The only thing I will say about Justin Fields is it's going to be a matter of when they're ready to hand them over the keys. They do have a bit of a tough schedule just to kick off the year. I think if he gets the keys earlier rather than later, the better. But to the point, me and D'Lo had this conversation before the show, is let them lose and him not get those keys. Oh, Matt Nagy, don't make that mistake.
He's out of there.
I know a lot of you guys are out there excited for your fantasy football leagues. I'm personally going to be in 2 money leagues this year. I'm in the 10th season of one, 3-peated it once, won it another year. They don't like me in that league for sure. But what do you guys think? Who do you guys think is going to be the best non-quarterback fantasy player this year?
Well, got to put that crown on me. I got to go King Henry. I got to go King Henry. I know. Landon, Julio just came over. I know.
Yeah.
But you have to think what that does for him. That opens everything up. And this dude, wait, like 6'4"?
Yeah.
2.
Yeah.
Looking like a DN out there.
Big guy.
He's built to run for two racks,
Yeah.
So I'm going Derrick Henry. He's a force to stop. And just with the weapons they have on the outside, I think they're going to have a very explosive offense, even though they're in that division. We're probably going to split with them boys, but
Alabama running backs.
Think Derrick Henry, but that's expected. We know he's gonna be a force to deal with.
I love Derrick Henry. You can't go wrong with Derrick Henry at the end of the day. The only gripe I have with Derrick Henry being top fantasy player is will them acquiring Julio Jones impact his touches this year? Will they try to throw the ball a bit more?
I don't think
Maybe
so.
A little bit more.
I don't think so. Just because Henry earned his respect in this league.
100%.
Let you try to run out there with a 6-man a little light box against Derrick Henry. He's gonna make you pay.
100%. But now we do have Julio on the outside. This ain't no just.
Yeah.
You just place Corey Davis with Julio Jones. This is top 10 wide receiver in the NFL right now.
Yeah.
They're gonna have to worry about Julio on the outside too. The Titans' offense is gonna be scary.
And who's on the other side?
And we got AJ
Brown.
Man, that's a scary 1-2
So
punch.
you can't stack that box.
The one thing I will say though is, and a lot of people are talking about this with the Titans, is that defense. If that defense can't get off the field and limits Derrick Henry's touches,
Hope not.
things will go a little different way. But
defense stay on that field.
For sure. But I'm going to take it a little bit of a different route. I'm going to go a little bit out of left field a little bit, not so much. But give me Mr. Keenan Allen from the Los Angeles Chargers. And the one thing, and I know you guys are going to bring it up, so I'll bring it up, is can he stay on the field for 17 games? I hope so. And the Chargers better hope so, and the rest of the NFL better hope not. Because here's a guy, for fantasy purposes, that's getting over 10 targets a game, catching the ball a ton, The stud of a quarterback in Justin Herbert going into his second year. I think there's an argument to be made. Justin Herbert can win MVP this year. I think that you can make that argument.
I'm on that train.
I think you can make that argument, but Keenan Allen's going to get a lot of targets, touch the ball a ton, and in the red zone, you can still find him in there. I know they have Hunter Henry, some other guys they might look to get involved. Austin Eckler is another great fantasy player for the Chargers, but I love me some Keenan Allen. Maybe I'm a bias. I was a Keenan Allen fantasy owner a couple of years before, he blew up a little bit, but I love me some Keenan Allen. And I'm not saying he could put up some Devontae Adams numbers for last year, but I think he could put up some big numbers.
I think he can put up Devontae Adams numbers, to be honest with you. It's just that one question, can he stay healthy? Every year it seems like he's missing games. But I too had him on one of my fantasy leagues last year, and let me tell you, Keenan Allen is a baller, man. He makes some spectacular catches. Watch him play. He makes some spectacular catches. So I honestly can't really argue your point. Like you said, the only question I really have on Keenan Allen is, can he stay healthy? If he stays healthy, I could see him as a top fantasy pick. But personally, I'm really heavy on Nick Chubb this year.
Ooh,
and I'm gonna tell, and it has a lot to do with, for one, the Cleveland Browns O-line. I think they have the best O-line in the NFL. Odell Beckham coming back. Odell Beckham's gonna open up the field for Baker Mayfield down the field, as well as Jarvis Landry. I think those lanes will be a little bit more open for him. He had over 1,000 yards rushing last year. He missed a couple games. He had over, I think, 12 touchdowns last year, and he missed about 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, no.
Nick Chubb, I get it. Everybody's going to say he's splitting time with Kareem Hunt. At the end of the day, Nick Chubb is the best back in that backfield. Everybody splits time with somebody now, I feel like. Kareem Hunt's going to take some of those, obviously some of the passing game away from him. But in terms of who is going to be carrying the ball, and we all know they like to carry the ball out there in Cleveland to open things up for that play-action pass for Baker Mayfield. So I think Nick Chubb is a very touchdown dependent, but I can see him getting anywhere from about 16 touchdowns next year if he stays healthy as well, and anywhere from over 14 to 1,600 yards rushing.
Ooh, yeah, no, that's a big year, and I think the one I love the pick. The one thing I would just add there is Kevin Stefanski is one of the greatest offensive minds in the league right now. Can't doubt him. Obviously, you got to think about out west, San Fran. And what they're doing with their offense, but Kevin Stefanski definitely knows what he's doing, and you saw what he did with Baker Mayfield in 1 year. I like that pick a lot. We have one small thing we want to touch on before we wrap up, and just to bring a little bit back to kind of the Juice Crew, what's our why, and I really want to dive into kind of a small little time window, and it really has to do with the pandemic. I hope everybody was able to keep safe, not catch the COVID and everything, but really we saw that as an opportunity. We had a lot of conversations, and I just want to hear from your perspective, kind of, what do you think evolved between our dynamic, our whole group's dynamic, wanting to dive into some of these business ventures, start this podcast. I know for me, like thinking about my career, working at a large asset manager, loving what I'm doing every day, but wanting to create that future, that financial freedom, that me make my own schedule. We had these conversations. What can we say to our listeners about that time frame of that planning and that preparation that we went into?
I think it had a lot to do with reflection. I mean, everybody was sitting at home for so long. There's so much time on your hands to just sit back and reflect on what is it that you want to do. And I think a big part of it, all of us graduating from the business school around the same time. I mean, I still had another 1 or 2 semesters. It was 2 semesters after COVID hit. So it was coming to the end. Like you mentioned, Ty, you had graduated. You were going into your full-time position that you're in now. And I only had 2 more semesters left. Landon only had 2 more semesters left. So it's like we're thinking about our future. This is the time to think about what are the next steps of our lives. Where are we going to take our next path? Sports is coming down to an end. It's coming down. We have to really think about what we want to do with our everyday lives. And honestly, sitting at home every day made me really just sit back and reflect on what I wanted to do. I know we always used to get into our own, sports debates within the dorms and in our group chats and things of that nature, and just talking about certain business ventures between the 3 of us. So we really just sat back and said, hey, let's bring that conversation on camera. Let's bring that conversation, via audio. Let's let people in on that conversation that we're having, so they can hear what we're talking about. Just to speak our minds for no reason, just because it's something that we enjoy. We're doing it anyway, so why not let the people hear what we have to say at the end of the day? I feel like we're three intelligent black men at the end of the day who know what we're talking about, who have experienced enough in a multitude of different realms, who've worked a multitude of different jobs, have done a multitude of different things, that have enough background and knowledge to talk about certain topics. That's where my inspiration at least comes from, the podcast.
So, you know, you said a bunch of great points, but just with the whole overall pandemic, I feel like personally, it just kind of made me sit still and, like you say, reflect and just kind of plan things out and just visualize things. And we were able just, you know, we were still in touch, playing our video games or working out together. You know, we were able to communicate and really just pull our resources together and really just come up with something we're passionate about. Because at the end of the day, you know, this is just for anybody. You just want to do something you're passionate about. It doesn't feel like you're working a day in your life. You know, I can do this forever. It doesn't even matter. Sorry, I'm getting off point. But just us sitting down and just saying, you know, all right, we're done talking about it. Let's do it. Let's build something and create something that we can have, you know, for the rest of our lives. That was my inspiration with doing this. As you said, D, you know, we're black men. So it was very big to me to create something, especially with guys I consider my brothers and everything. So
yeah. I mean, just to wrap it up real quick too, I always envisioned myself and my team at the head of the snake at the end of the day. You know, I've worked a multitude of jobs and things of that nature, and I've always taken orders from people. At the end of the day, why can't I work on my own time when I'm gonna make the same amount of money, put the same amount of work in, if not even more, since it's my own thing? Yeah. I want to put that time, that effort into something that I believe in, something that I want to do at the end of the day.
Yeah, no, definitely. I think that, you know, for me, it was always about, and these guys can attest to it, like, I didn't know a lot what I wanted to do after I quit basketball. I got really involved at school, business school, like really found a passion for finance, investing. And I tell people this to this day, and it's one thing I'm extremely passionate about, and we'll talk about a little bit more on the podcast, is like, I always found that if I could put a value or a dollar amount on a business, a project, a company, an idea, then that is the skill set I want to get. And once I get it, then it's really, you know, sky's the limit. And whatever I do to get there, I'm a member of the National Association of Black Accountants. Shout out to NABA, but the slogan is "Lift as we climb," and these guys know I do that a whole heck of a lot. So we really do, you know, hope you guys, you know, are getting a lot out of this podcast. We're gonna have tons of business topics, tons of business to get into. Some real estate we're thinking about doing, logistics companies, sustainable fashion. We're going to dive into it with our guests. But to close out today, make sure you guys follow us on all our socials at the.juicecrew everywhere. Subscribe to the YouTube channel. Stay tuned. We're dropping a shirt soon. You guys will see that on our Instagram. If you go follow it, here it is. And we're out.